of a woman. And that, by the way, goes back to Jimbo Fisher. And listen, these guys are young men. They need to hold themselves accountable. I'm not blaming Jimbo Fisher on this. But if you start lining up some of the things that happened under Fisher's watch, well, he certainly didn't have the cleanest QBs there on campus in Tallahassee. I mean, DeAndre Johnson, who is from the Jacksonville area, suffered by his own mistake big time because he got kicked out of Florida State after he punched a woman in a bar, and he owned up to it after. He's had to live with the results of that, but he did it. Mm-hmm. And so there was that black eye, and now this years later with DeAndre Francois. So there's a little bit of a track record here that makes it seem from the outside looking in not so good in Tallahassee.
Look, I'm going to be careful what I say here.
Yeah, you got to be careful on the.
But here's
the problem is there's so much out there that you don't always know the truth of it. And this is a great example. You just said it from the Tampa Bay Times.
No, absolutely. But at the end of the day, listen, I was brought in here to share an opinion, so I'm going to share my opinion with you, good, bad, or indifferent. But here's what I think about the whole thing. And listen, I would never talk bad about somebody behind their back if I didn't see him like in a parking lot, like when I left the building. All right. So what I'm going to say, I got no problem saying anybody's face. There has to be a zero tolerance policy put in place for any time a player puts his hands on a woman or even threatens to. Now, we heard his girlfriend just come out and say, listen, he never punched me one time. I don't know if that's damage control or not, but we heard the video. And in the video, he was threatening her. Okay, we're getting ready to talk about Kareem Hunt here next year because this is a sports show, and he's going to be one of the biggest, names in the news. It's going to be who's going to sign Kareem Hunt because he's too talented not to get picked up by somebody else. Listen, I'm all for second chances, but not when it comes to either A, threatening a woman, or B, threatening a child. Because at that point, you don't deserve a second chance. This isn't like, I had a beer, I drove my car, I got arrested, DUI. It's not like that. We're talking personality traits. We're talking who people really are. So, like, with this whole Francois thing, no, we don't have any video about him, beating anybody up. But he's threatening somebody. And to me, that's enough because at the end of the day, you got to be held accountable, man. Like, getting back to the little Hardy thing, too, I said I didn't pay much attention. I still don't agree with what Hardy did either. Because at the end of the day, you can make mistakes. You're entitled to, you're entitled to have a beer and maybe you get pulled over by a car. Stupid mistake, but it's a mistake. These aren't mistakes that are happening here with the Florida quarterbacks. These are personality traits. These are who people are.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to defend that. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Gators fans will take offense to that.
No, I'm sorry. Florida State. And the same thing with Kareem Hunt, too. Like, some people may say he deserves a second chance. I personally don't agree because I think it's who you are. And guess what? Kareem Hunt's had a problem, too, where it's not one account. It's multiple accounts.
Well, and that's the bigger thing and that's my point on this. It's all about DeAndre Francois right now. And Seminoles fans. No. This goes right to what you're saying. Seminoles fans are saying, okay, well, now what about the quarterback position? Or they were easy. They didn't love Francois anyway. They thought he was part of the problem last year. So they're fine saying, okay, see you later. But to me, the bigger issue is what you just said. If we know about it happens one time, what don't we know? Mm-hmm. And we know at big-time colleges and big-time programs, things don't always come out. Mm-hmm. So I think what you're speaking of is interesting. I don't know if I totally agree with you. I still think it's case by case in terms of second chances or not, because I'd hate to blanket statement that.
Yeah.
And I think the DeAndre Johnson one is very interesting because I feel like, and this is outside looking in, and maybe it's because he's a Jacksonville guy, and I knew him before that situation as always a very good kid. Mm-hmm. But I feel like he's tried to rehabilitate himself from that moment. That was in a bar. He was potentially intoxicated, all those things. So that's why I don't blanket statement, and it's not to dismiss what he did. I mean, what he did was disgusting. But I just think it's a bigger – right now, just totally talking about Florida State, whether this was a Jimbo Fisher problem in terms of checking those character traits, or right now they just have a problem over the last 4 or 5 years now, your quarterbacks should not be getting in the news like this.
No, nobody on your team should.
Nobody should. But your quarterbacks, 3 of your quarterbacks now in the last 5 or 6 years, really – 2019 just started, so it's about 5 years. Can't happen. Shouldn't happen. And it's happening in Tallahassee, and it's shameful. And Willie Taggart, that's part of what he's going to have to do is fix some of that stuff. And I think he's doing it by kicking off Francois.
Take away all the national championships and all the success he had at Florida State because Jimbo Fisher is obviously gone now. Take that all away. And I understand that those are great things. Winning football games is big. But your main objective as a coach is to raise young men. So if you had 3 quarterbacks, and granted, Jimbo wasn't here for this last one, if you have 3 quarterbacks that have done this, that's not a good reflection of you as a coach at all. And I don't care how many games you've won. I really don't.
Well, we say it all the time about Urban Meyer and what happened during his tenure at Florida, and look what's followed him years later at Ohio State. All different circumstances. But now we keep our eye on Jimbo Fisher, I think, in College Station at Texas A&M. Mm-hmm. Does he end up having a track record of this down the road more and more? It's a big problem. We'll talk more about the Florida State situation, how it impacts recruiting tomorrow, because signing day is 2 days away. It's a big deal for Willie Taggart. It's a big year for Willie Taggart. And these are serious accusations as well against DeAndre Francois. So bad story coming out of Tallahassee over the weekend. Wanted to mention it, even though it's a big day for the Super Bowl on Sunday in Atlanta. Patriots world champs once again. We'll talk about the Patriots' future and who's next. Who's the new kid on the block in the NFL? Is it the Rams? Is it the Chiefs? And where do the Jags fit in? More of that coming up on tomorrow's show. Hope you had a good Monday, everybody. Thanks for listening. For Justin Kuzart, Austin Lane, I'm Brent Martineau. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see you on TV, CBS 47 and Fox 30.